Hi everyone, I hope all is well. This week's Parsha is Parshat Vayachi, the last Parsha in the book of Bereshit. Now, in this week's Parsha, there's a very famous episode. Right? Yaakov is reaching the end of his life, and Yosef brings in his two sons, Ephraim and Menashe, to get blessed by Yaakov before he dies. Now, Menashe is the older son, and Ephraim's the younger son. What does Yaakov do? He flips his hands, he gives the firstborn blessing to Ephraim, the younger son, and the other blessing to Menashe, the older son. He flips them. And why does he do this? Yaakov lived his whole life. He said in last week's parsha that he lived a life of suffering and agony. Why is this? Because the same thing, right? He suffered the consequences of having the firstborn blessing, Esau's blessing, having the blessing switched. He took on Esau's blessing. Right? And he had to live with the consequences his entire life. So why would he pass this on to the next generation? What's Yaakov thinking here? So I heard a very beautiful answer. I read from Rav Jonathan Sachs, and he says that the answer lies in the names of Ephraim and Menashe. Now first we have to really realize where Yaakov is here. He knows that his descendants are going to be in Egypt in exile for a number of years. And he has to set the future up in a way where they'll be able to stay strong in Egypt and be able to re-enter the land of Israel and resettle it and really create the Jewish people. So again, the answer lies in the names of Ephraim and Menashe. So we see when Yosef names his two sons that Menashe represents the older son, forgetting the past, right? Forgetting the house of Yaakov where Yosef grew up, right? Just forgetting the past. Which, in terms of survival in Egypt, that's not the ideal blessing at all. That's not the ideal characteristics to have for a nation. But Ephraim represents being fruitful and multiplying, even though we're in the land of affliction. So that's remembering the past and bringing it into the present, right, to set up the future. So this is why, from Rav Jonathan Sachs, why Yaakov flipped his hands and gave the stronger blessing, the firstborn blessing to Ephraim, and the other blessing to Menashe. Now, very nice, and to me, I didn't know this before, but why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing it up at all? So in today's day and age, we're in a very similar position that Yaakov was in, right? We're in exile. We're not in the land of Israel. Not all the Jews. So obviously, from this week's parsha, it should be obvious. We should be going like Yaakov did. We should be going like Ephraim. We should be taking our past and bringing it into the present and really being conscious of it. But yet, we see with so many Jews today that assimilation is so high that we're forgetting about our past. So what's going on here? So I just wanted to point this out. I thought it was very interesting, especially from this week's parsha, where it seems so clear that Yaakov switches his hands, and Yosef said, "Yaakov, what are you doing?" And he said, "No, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing it properly." So we're in such a similar situation today. So I just thought it would just be illuminating for everyone to realize this. And also on another relatable level, we see it's a new year now with New Year's resolutions. I saw that almost 90% of all New Year's resolutions fail. And why do they fail? Because people look to turn the page over in their lives, right? A new blank sheet, blank slate. But as we see from this week's parsha, you can't really do that, right? We have to take our past and bring it into the present and to set ourselves up for the future. So give everyone a bracha that we'll be able to strengthen our futures to really build great future lives for ourselves, but not by making a blank sheet, blank slate, but by taking everything from the past and improving it and working on it, and hopefully one day we'll be able to, as a collective Jewish people, move back to Israel as a whole, just like Yaakov set up in this week's parsha. And with that, I wish you all a happy New Year and Shabbat Shalom.